Let's go. PYB Podcast. Pick your brain. Pretty young.
Hi guys, Happy New Year and welcome back to another episode of Pick Your Brain Podcast, a platform to showcase creatives, social issues, mental health, and community empowerment. I'm Simone.
It's your boy Kyle Francis Ordona Dacallos, aka DJ Asthmatc.
What up, Kim folks? It's Mike D. What's good?
Damn, bro, how you trying to list all your titles now, bro? Like, goddamn.
You know.
Oh, what up? You know, it's Bill Belichick out here. You know what I'm saying? JK, it's MC Churro. What's up?
All right, now what we're doing today is we're interviewing Miss Kimmy Dinh. All right, take it away, MC Churro.
All right. Hello. How are you, Kimmy?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Still alive. We made it. You know, we made 2020, past 2020. So that's definitely something to celebrate.
Definitely.
New Year.
New Year to you.
All right. So let's get up into this. So, who is you? What do you diz?
What do you do?
Who am I? Well, I host my own podcast called Moon Iridescent. It's a lifestyle podcast that just focuses a lot on travel, wellness, and leisure interests. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate that.
What are some of the things you like to do, like free time or leisure, that sort of stuff?
Right now, I'm playing games, MMORPGs. MapleStory. So
nice.
Anybody on Reboot server, catch me out there.
Which game? What game
MapleStory.
specifically? Oh, okay.
MapleStory's still a thing?
Yes, no, like MapleStory is very different now. Honestly, relearning it is really fun. Even though they added like a lot of newer things, it's also simplified in a very straightforward way. So stress reliever, and it's time consuming. You know, I don't have much to do, so great.
You're a gamer girl, all right.
Do you still
No, I suck. I'm trash.
She said she sucks.
Not a gamer girl.
What's another game that you like to play?
You know, my attention span doesn't range that long to focus on a game for a very long time, so nothing else really. I think I'm just going to stick with this for another month or two before I find something else to do.
Facts.
It'd be like
I feel it. And you're a recent college graduate, aren't you?
Hell yes, it's about time.
Wait. Congratulations. Hey, congratulations. I know you don't get to walk and everything, so
Class of 2020, right?
Yes, class of 2020. Just this fall, so I graduated like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
dope. Congratulations.
What's your
Thank
major?
I majored in international business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm struggling trying to find a job like most other people nowadays, but you know, we gotta just do whatever we can.
For sure. We could use some consulting.
In what? What do you think?
I don't know, international business and how we can expand internationally. I don't know.
I mean, hold on. She said international business. Yo, I got a Theo. He sells corn. Let's get some popping. You know what I'm saying?
Good luck with that. I don't know if I could be of any help.
We want this price because Kimmy said so. We're going to have it done. I don't know. God. Oh, my God. So I guess one thing I want to kind of like touch on is it's kind of hard because obviously you really shifted into a different kind of experience. But like, how was your college experience? I know like with the pandemic that really changed a big chunk of it, but like overall, I guess if you can reflect on it, you know, what are some of the things you liked, what you learned or something?
I think my college experience really did shape me into who I am today. A lot of it has to do with all of like the organizations and work and internships that I've been involved in. I would say my college experience is a lot more wholesome than most other people. I don't really have any of those like really crazy stories as my other sorority sisters. I'm more of the one, that leads and takes charge and puts myself in positions of leadership and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I mainly focused on. I, make sure everyone stays safe and stuff like that. So yeah. Overall, big learning curve. You go through the freshman 15. I had a freshman 20. And then by senior year of college, I lost all of the 20. So back to square one. I think that's kind of like a big accomplishment in my opinion, because I don't know, image is always difficult, I would say. Especially, being in a public facing role or a public facing organization where everyone knows you and kind of like knows your face and your brand image. It's really important. So yeah, I kind of hope that answers the question, but feel free to keep asking for follow-up questions.
I feel you on that. I'm kind of glad that, I got this whole Zoom thing popping for the podcast, and like, I don't have really good lighting because, we need to hide a little bit more of this. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I agree.
But no, I definitely feel you on that, just, oh my God, image and that's something we're going to get to later into the podcast, because got some things to bring up. But let's talk about your podcast. So your podcast is named Moon Iridescent. What do you mean by that, or like what conveyance are you trying to give with that?
Well, so I think in 2019, the summer, this was like before I was going into my senior year of college. I felt like I haven't done much. I felt like I didn't really have a legacy to kind of leave behind in college or like anything started. And so I wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was going to be yet. I honestly didn't know I was going to start a podcast. I thought to myself, I want to do something that is a lot more meaningful. And I wanted a place where I could just kind of be my authentic self. And that's a little bit difficult because your girl literally has self-identity crisis. What's it called?
Identity crisis?
I don't know. It's basically where like you don't really know who you are. And I go through that like almost every week. And so I wanted a place, where I can be like my true authentic selves. Like I feel like myself on Moon Iridescent, the way I speak, the way I convey my message and stuff like that, it's very different from who I am in real life. But they are both a part of me. And so Moon Iridescent is kind of like meant to be a safe space for people to kind of feel, accepted for who they are, and just, basically that. And then I can kind of go into like why I named it Moon Iridescent. Oh my God. Naming something is probably my worst, I wouldn't say trait, but everything was taken, and then I was trying to like look for domain name and stuff like that. I needed something that made sense. It's kind of like getting a tattoo to me. Like I wanted to have meaning behind it, And so Moon Iridescent refers to kind of like the moon phases, how we go throughout lives. There's a lot of milestones that we hit and we're forever changing like the moon phases. And iridescent because, the iridescent phenomenon where like the lights hit like you see colors where like lights hit differently and stuff like that. So like it's from your perspective. So being iridescent also kind of means kind of like bringing joy into your own life. And it really has to do with like your perspective on life. So Moon Iridescent, it's a very lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
So your podcast just hits different.
There we go.
It's different in different
Your
ways.
podcast just hits different. That's what's up.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. So far, there's a lot of just travel and mental health talks on there, but hopefully bringing more things in the future. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think like for the most part, because, I follow you on Instagram, and then I saw like stories and like posts where you were like promoting your podcast, and I was just like, oh, Moon Iridescent, and I was just like, dictionary.com, what does iridescent mean? And then I was like, I think it was one of the promo videos on your story. You like had like a snippet of the podcast, and I was like, oh my God, like, oh. And so I went and checked it out, and then like I saw a lot of similar like themes like that you were discussing, and I was like, oh my God, it'd be great to have her on our podcast, because we can talk about like some of those same things that like we kind of touch upon and have our perspectives on, and that's essentially what like like in our case, right, our podcast is about perspective, and just because we're, as Mike said, right, we're not counselors, what I'm saying, but we're here to provide perspectives. And if you're a listener who really resonates with our messages, like bam, always more than welcome to. And so when I started listening to your podcast, one of the episodes that really caught my attention was being your most authentic self. And yeah, so I mean, you explained a little bit of it a bit ago, but why is it so important to be our most authentic self? And what are some challenges that sort of like put you more in the direction of like, just being your most authentic self?
Mm-hmm. So I think like in this day and age, social media definitely influences everyone's lives, the first thing you do when you wake up is you check your phone. The last thing you do before you sleep, probably check your phone. So social media, it kind of guides our lives in a way, and that's why they're a thing called influencers. When we all get caught up in kind of like the newest trends or like the pace of life of others, like we kind of project it onto ourselves. Like that's kind of what we want or what we think we want. And I think taking kind of like a mental health break or just kind of like a social media shutdown just for kind of like a day or two to really reflect on who you are as a person and yourself. That's when you can truly become your authentic self. Like, do you really want what other people want? Do you really want what you actually see? All of these things, like you are influenced to an extent. And so especially now in this day and age, like in the middle of a pandemic and everything, like wellness is a huge topic. Everyone is being affected by quarantine and social distancing in a way or two. I honestly think I've gotten a little bit more socially awkward. So, I think when we try to kind of keep a facade, like all of the social media shows us, like it's really hard to kind of I guess love ourselves for who we are. And, being happy in life, it really stems from coming down to loving yourself first. Like, I don't think that you should put that into anyone else's hands. Like, you are the author, you write your own story.
I like how you bring up social media because I actually had a question on like, because, us growing up, I feel like social media, like Facebook and all that stuff didn't really come to us up until like after, like end of middle school towards high school and stuff. And that's when like, our growth period is kind of like very fast paced. But how do you think it'll affect like younger generations who have access to social media at like earliest as like elementary school? How do you think being their authentic self like is going to be halted, I guess, by the social media, how it is now?
Well, you can kind of look at it in a way where it's like, nowadays, everyone's on TikTok, everyone's on like the most popular apps and platforms, and they kind of get the personalities from the apps and platforms. It's not like everyone goes out to play anymore. They don't make friends. And in unprecedented times, we can't even play in teams or like, engage with others. For us to develop, how to work with others and a personality per se. And so I think it could be a good thing that, the youths are exposed to all of this technology. That only means that they're more tech savvy than us, and, technological advances will come a lot, I guess, faster in a way, just because they'll be the ones to kind of incorporate it into like all lines of work and all aspects of lives. But in a way, it kind of you grow up a little too fast. Don't you kind of remember like walking into a store, like there's like these Wonder Balls or like the candy bottle pops or whatever and stuff like that. Like we used to get those all the time when we were young, and they're not going to have kind of those same experiences because I feel like they're so technological based. Because when we were young, we paid more attention to kind of like our surroundings and stuff like that. And it kind of, makes us nostalgic and reminisce the older times in a sense where we didn't have any technology to document that stuff. No, if it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And nowadays, like everything's up in the cloud, so they can always just kind of look back on it. Technology really changes everything. And I don't know, I think it's a good thing nowadays. Yeah. We don't want to regress in any way. We want to progress.
Yes.
I did want to touch on in terms of just like finding your true self, right? In essence, like we try new things and we emulate different things. That's in itself a process of finding ourselves because we're growing, and so we have to try new things. And maybe in our own way, that in our own past, in our own experiences, we have our own experiences, and those are the ones that led to our finding ourselves, that we can be ourselves. But maybe the new folks, they have their own new way and new system, and definitely. You know what I mean? So they have their own way. So for us, maybe it's not nostalgic, but for them, when they grow up, that will be their own nostalgia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like learning about like TikTok stuff and stuff. And so definitely we have our own experiences, and it might not be the same from folks that are younger folks, but definitely that's their own experience and learning about themselves. So again, it's definitely a challenge in itself, trying to find yourself and your own liking and your own things that you want to do. Because historically, me as an individual, how I am is like because all the things that I've experienced and all the things that I've learned from people, and that I make it my own. You know what I'm saying? And so definitely, like it's to be yourself is like really trying out new things and like taking
each
in
experience
things. You know what I mean?
to their own.
For sure. Yeah,
definitely agree.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned that, Kimmy, I was just like, oh my God, baby bottle pops, bro. Those are my shits. Yeah. And then I just started thinking, as you mentioned, right, like the impact influencers have. And it's like, for us, it's like, oh my God, dude, we used to go to like 7-Eleven or whatever, like grocery store and get some baby bottle pops. And kids nowadays like, oh, Addison Rae doesn't use that or doesn't eat that. Fuck that. It's like, it was like, whoa, like it's very like influencer centric, just like a lot of these kids just like bite off of what is hot and trendy, not necessarily what they, I guess, in a sense, like truly enjoy. Because I mean, maybe they consume or eat something that their influencer recommends or post or whatever, and they like it, but then other folks, just follow the hype, and it's like, it's kind of sad.
I'm still trying to figure out what's a baby bottle pop.
You don't want a baby
bottle?
Baby bottle. You know the commercial?
Candy with the
baby bottle pop. Baby bottle.
She knows what I'm talking about.
She knows it.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Okay, I think every generation has their own unique, unique trends. I don't know what this new generation's trends will be. It's probably going to be like Vine or TikTok or something like that. Depending on what's left and how we progress in the future. But I do agree with what you said. Everyone is kind of like unique in their own way. They have to find themselves on their own, no matter, how many influencers or social media influences there are. And so, I mean, I'm sure everyone has like their little quirky routine, just to kind of reset yourself and get back onto your own pace and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Baby bottle pop. Is that how it goes?
Yeah. You know it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get some. Go to the store real quick.
How about Pop Rocks? You like Pop Rocks?
Okay,
Yeah, Pop Rocks.
I get that.
Hey, no offense, Mike.
Yeah.
I love you and all, fam, but like that sounded very boomer of you, my fam.
You call him old, bro?
I'm the older guy over here.
I'm the older guy.
What did you have, Mike?
Are we?
I have no idea. No.
Okay, Dragon Ball Z.
There you go. Dragon Ball Z for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine
was Avatar. I love Avatar.
Avatar. Oh,
Avatar:
man.
The Last Airbender.
Same.
God. And, one of the biggest things that, as I mentioned earlier, right, as I started listening to your podcast, and then especially when I really got my attention grabbed by this particular episode, one concept that kept, ringing in my head was just the concept of assimilation. And really, when you think about assimilation, right? Like they like to say, most people like to say that the United States is like a melting pot, right? Of people and that sort of stuff. And that, but with that example, it also kind of brings it down to like, yeah, it's a melting pot, but you're forced to assimilate. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the American way, or like you gotta speak English or all this other stuff. And especially with the advent of social media, right? Like it's just like, as I mentioned earlier, right? Like whatever the influencers are into, you got to be into that in order to be popular or be a cool kid or whatever. And so I see that as like very toxic, obviously. But it's also interesting because, we go through like middle school and high school, right? And one of the main social purposes is we're just trying to fit in, not trying to be someone who stands out, that sort of stuff. And we're forced to like assimilate. But then after that's said and done, then you kind of have the struggle of like trying to find yourself, and it was like something that you were kind of struggling against while going through, like, I guess in this context, right? Like US schooling, right? And so I just find that something very interesting. It's something, of a thought piece too, because it's sort of like, even when you think about business here in this country, right? It's just like the business here is about selling you things to make you like internally hate yourself, and you buy this stuff so that you feel better about yourself or so that you look a certain way and stuff like that. And so like, touching on the topic of like the youth, it's something that concerns me, because it's just like, how do you manage that? Because it's just, social media is a new advent, but it's coming by storm. So it's like, how do you really manage that,
Well, it's honestly, I think it's human nature to always want to fit in. Just like, life here, life elsewhere, everyone that lives in a certain place is going to kind of want to conform in one way or another. And even though we kind of go through that process, like, I think coming from, two different backgrounds, like, I'm Vietnamese American, there's Filipino American, there's Mexican Americans. You have two cultures and two heritage that you do belong to, especially, being in the Bay Area. I think the Bay Area is a big, diverse bubble. But in all honesty, I think that, when we go back to our roots, like it's kind of funny because like we grew up in certain types of households. We grew up in, our cultural households, but we also incorporate kind of like American ideals in it as well, because we learn through school, we learn the social etiquette, the social norms and stuff like that. And so it kind of goes into assimilation because like we are kind of in the process of, learning our roots, but then we also have to kind of conform into to where we are. Like proximity is a thing. And I'm sure here it's very different from, the opposite side of the country. I'm sure East Coast and West Coast have their differences and similarities. And that's just kind of how it is. I'm sorry, what was the question again? I kind of lost the train of thought.
It's okay. I kind of have a bad habit of like really getting into it. But I think the question is more so like, how would you manage sort of like social media or like younger kids too? Like, how do you, like, what are some recommendations or suggestions that you have for like, younger people being able to express their most authentic self in a sense?
So I think I did mention this in one of my episodes, and honestly, it works differently for everyone. Again, going back to how everyone has their little, like their own little quirks and I guess routine. For me, I definitely like to write things out. Whether it's going to be like in the Google Drive, just because, who writes nowadays? I'm just kidding. I like to type things out just because, I don't know, I don't really write much and my handwriting's probably gone to shit, but writing things out and kind of, reflecting and stuff like that. There's like, I think mental health has blown up so much more. A lot more people are focusing on it and it's becoming more of a bigger topic, which is fine, which is, ideal because like so many people struggle through a lot of these things, yet we don't know, and we kind of keep these things to ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, there are influencers that are in the wellness industry, such as Lavender. Eileen, she's the founder of the Lavender Lifestyle Podcast. It's kind of my inspiration for my own podcast. Like, I love her and what she does. She came out with kind of like a journal. So it's kind of like a journal with prompts for you to do and fill out. And so like something like that will kind of guide you to really self-reflect and self-discover. And I think that's how you can mostly stay true to yourself, is by continuing this conversation with yourself and asking yourself these questions. And so taking a moment to kind of really just think, delve deep, and reflect on yourself is really important to be who you actually are. And it kind of takes away from, all of the social media chaos and mess that you have to deal with on the daily. So I think that's kind of just one way. Everyone obviously have their own different ways and stuff like that. There's a lot of apps out that definitely can help with that. Lots of videos that you can watch because, again, there's a lot of wellness influencers. And, just keeping your friends and family close as well, like having these constant conversations with them. So, yeah.
And we're back with the absurdity of the day.
Whose turn is it?
We
Whose
really
turn
need
it
a
be?
pyong pyong pyong.
I know. I actually had that with my
Pew,
DJ
pew,
shit. So, this is like my type of joke. You know what I'm saying? I thought this was really.
So we're not gonna
Oh
laugh.
no.
I'm just kidding.
So, did you know a cow bison hybrid is called a beefalo?
Wait, you want to run that again? I didn't hear you.
Say it again clearly. This is our absurdity of the day. Absurdity of the day.
Hold on. A cow bison hybrid is called a beefalo.
Like instead of a buffalo, it's a beef. Beefalo.
Beefalo? Is it a beefalo because a cow
Yeah,
produces beef?
It's
Cow is beef?
And then bison could also be a buffalo, so it's called a beefalo. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Interesting.
any thoughts?
Thank you, Kyle, for your very thoughtful words.
That's so moving.
Oh my gosh.
I think we come to our podcast. We'll start sending out the links and everything. All right, everybody have a good night. Time out.
Time out.
Oh my gosh, these jokes. Alright.
Anyways,
Break it down.
forward.
So
to our guest.
I wanted to ask a question to add a question. What has been your biggest challenge and victory in terms of your podcast?
Sure. Biggest challenge, I think, is just, I guess, pumping out the content. I feel like whatever I say gets repetitive in every episode. So I feel like trying to have more individuality is also a big one too. Just because I mean, if y'all can't tell, I'm pretty nervous. So my voice shakes kind of a lot, especially when I first started my podcast. Like my first episode, it sounded so, I don't know, like I felt like I was like a newborn horse trying to stand up. So yeah, it was just very nerve-wracking. And then like trying to find content and finding guest speakers, I think has been like a great challenge, just because, sometimes I don't even know what I want to talk about. So yeah, biggest challenge. And also because I do type up kind of like a blog post per episode on my website. So that's why, writing it all out and writing the script and then getting the people and then just recording, editing, it takes up a lot of time. And that's something that I didn't have, throughout the entire school year of 2020, which is why I stuck to only like an episode a month. But, biggest victory is probably the analytics shows that I've reached over 10 countries other than the US
Wow.
for the podcast. So that's something that I was really excited about. Just because there are people listening to me that are not my friends. So
That's a victory.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, what was it, Kyle? We had like a French listener.
And we have
Yeah,
like
we
a
have
consistent
France,
French and New York.
Korea.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I was just like, Parlez-vous anglais? Je ne sais pas. On cherche les baguettes.
Oh, yeah, flexing. Dope.
But yeah, so in your podcast, you mention a lot about your travels. So, what are some places that you've traveled to?
I've been to mostly Asian countries. I've been to Vietnam like 3-4 times. I've been to South Korea, been to China, Japan, Thailand, and I think that's it for the Asian countries. Then I've also been to like Mexico and then some other US states. It's mainly, sorry.
Any crazy stories?
What?
Any crazy stories in terms of traveling?
Crazy stories.
Yeah.
I got lost in South Korea.
Oh wow,
You got what?
lost.
I got lost.
yourself?
Well, for that one, I went to South Korea with my Taekwondo team. We were attending the Gwangju International Taekwondo Academy. So it's kind of like an annual thing that they put on in Chosun, which is kind of like I think a city or a province in South Korea. And we were at the university. So I got to kind of like dorm there and experience like the college life, not really there at Chosun University, because Taekwondo is something that you can actually like major in.
Wow.
Compared to here. So I went over there to kind of just study it under like, the big leaders of the Taekwondo world. And there was one night where me and a close friend of mine, Michelle, we wanted to surprise like our, I don't know, I guess she's kind of like our team lead. We had two. So one of them, it was her birthday. We wanted to surprise her and buy her like flowers and cake from the town nearby. And so we wanted to drag the boys with us because, walking around at night in the US, it's very dangerous. Like you kind of don't do that. But, in South Korea, it's generally a lot safer. But anyway, they wouldn't want to come. And so we're kind of off on our own. And we left the building, and I guess 10 minutes into it, we have no idea where we're going. She knows a little bit of Korean. Like it's conversational to the point where like she can get directions and stuff like that. So she asked someone and they pointed her in this direction. We walked towards there and we still got lost. So we went to a bakery. I think like, when you kind of speak to someone in another language and they know you're a foreigner, like it doesn't really register in their mind and they don't really understand you at first because they're not trying to listen. That kind of happened. And so she was like, oh, how do we get to this chicken place? And they were just like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And we're just like, dude, chicken place. This is like the only, it's a very small town, so how could you not know? And like, this is like a chain restaurant. So anyway, we hailed a taxi, kind of out of the blue. Like we saw a taxi driving by and she asked me, she's like, should we do it? I was like, yeah, I think we should. And so we hailed a taxi, and just inside the taxi, we didn't really communicate with him, but then we used the neighbor app to kind of get to where we want because she knew how to read and write, which was lucky. But anyway, the entire ride, super quiet. He didn't say a single word to us until we get closer. And then he kind of like musters up his courage and asks, where are you from? And at that point, like we were just a little bit nervous because we were driving into kind of like a sketchy neighborhood and we're just like, we're from America. So yeah. And then we didn't really know where he was taking us, but we had just had to trust, right? There's nothing else that we can do. We're already in the car. There's nothing else that's stopping us. And so he turns into like this kind of really dark, sketchy neighborhood. There's no lights. And then he makes a bunch of other turns. And then we get closer to the place and we're like, oh my God, it's here. And so here's two American girls screaming at the top of their heads inside a Korean taxi. And he's just like bewildered because he's like, what the fuck is going on? So we get to the chicken place, we walk out, and we were supposed to meet up with the second team lead. And he was nowhere to be found. And so we were trying to hop onto like their Wi-Fi, just to kind of connect to Kakao Talk to reach him and stuff like that, but it wasn't working. And so we were kind of like walking around in circles, and there he comes bounding down the hills, just, hair flopping and stuff like that, and asking, "Where were you?" And we said we hailed a taxi. He's like, "You could just walk." And I said, "We didn't know where we were." And so, yeah, he took us to a bakery, and he said it was like the best bakery that South Korea has, or stuff like that. And we were just really excited, like we really wanted to see a local flavor. He takes us to a Paris baguette, and in turn, I was so angry.
That's funny.
I was so angry because, I was expecting some authentic local South Korean
Right,
bakery,
right.
but this is a Paris baguette, which is easier to get to a chicken place. Like if we had asked people how to get to a Paris baguette in the town, I'm sure they would have been like, "Oh, go there." But no, you had to meet up in front of this chicken place.
I'm
So we go
dead.
to the Paris baguette. I'm baffled because I'm like, we have this here too. But anyway, sweet guy. I just go in and we pick out a cake, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, I'll take you to a flower shop." And I was like, "It's 9:00 at night. Like, is there a flower shop open?" And he was just like, "Yeah, it's open. It's 24/7." And I was like, "Oh my God, here there's 24/7 like flower shops? Great." And so we follow him, and he leads us to a flower vending machine. All the flowers are fake. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Korea's crazy.
That's
So
I can see the 24/7 now.
yeah, so I mean, it's a cute concept. Like it's just a big vending machine with like cubicles where you pay for the flower and like it pops out, you take it. But the reason why the flowers are able to kind of like stay in there for a long time is because they're fake. And so at that point, like I've lost my mind. Like I didn't know how to act at that point. I was just like, "Oh yeah, this is
This is
great."
perfect.
And I look at my friend and I'm just like, "What the fuck?" Like, but it's fine. It was a great experience. I felt like if I get lost, I'll somehow kind of make it through now.
Facts.
So yeah, that's kind of like my I got lost in South Korea story, and then things happened.
Yeah, sometimes getting lost is kind of fun. Not the moment, but it definitely is a
Yeah.
story. I think it's a great
Yeah,
story.
when you reflect back, you're like, oh, so silly times.
24-hour
Wait, I have a
flower
question.
shop.
Yeah.
Question.
Where did you go when you went to Mexico?
Mexico. I've been to Cancun. I've been to Ensenada. I think those are the main two. I don't really remember anything else, but I also went when I was young. So
Oh,
You didn't get lost
yeah,
there.
my family travels a lot.
You didn't get lost in
What?
Mexico.
No,
Okay.
no, we were with a tour guide. And so,
This time she bought a 24-hour elotes machine.
24/7.
24/7.
I was gonna say, like, even I wouldn't want to get lost in my wonderland. I'm just saying.
getting lost sucks. Like, there was I did go to kind of like Hong Kong off by myself or like by my cohort because I traveled to China to study abroad. We were just lucky that we didn't get lost there because I met up with one of my sisters that was visiting family in Hong Kong. So that was kind of fun. But I would say like Hong Kong is a lot more like here. It's not what I expected at all. There was a lot more people speaking English, a lot more foreigners and stuff like that. So if you ever want to kind of get the Chinese experience, Hong Kong. Yeah.
Hong Kong.
For
And the
sure.
dim sum is really good.
Oh, nice.
And bargaining, like I learned how to bargain and it was actually pretty fun. So
Hey, me too. I just start crying and it happens.
no,
I
gotta be strategic.
I learned it from my mom. She's Filipino.
Yeah.
She even tried to bargain Jonathan. She used to bargain Jonathan at Best Buy.
Best
Oh
Buy.
my god. Okay, to keep
Jonathan
this
used to
in
work at
brief,
Best Buy.
I think it was like a couple months since like I had last seen like Kyle's mom because I think it was like a gap period like where like Kyle and I were like busy. And so I hadn't hung out with him. And so I see his mom at the store I used to work at. And I was like, oh my God, hi, Mrs. Dacallos. And, I was expecting like, oh, hi, Jonathan, how are you? That sort of stuff. She sees me and she asks, what's your discount on this? And I was like, good afternoon to you too.
That's all she wanted from me.
Some discounts. Wait. You do taekwondo?
Yes.
Do you compete?
Not anymore. I
Okay.
used to,
What
but I
belt?
ref now. I'm a referee.
What belt do you have? I don't know anything about taekwondo. I'm just asking.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure you're black belt, right?
Are you black belt or what? What level of
Yes.
belts? Oh,
Yeah.
dope.
But she's a ref. I don't know.
Okay,
She go
okay.
crazy.
She can kick ass.
You did
That's what's
wrestling
up.
too, right? In high school.
Yeah. I only wrestled for a year in high school though, because the next year after that, I decided to take taekwondo a little bit more seriously. But yeah.
Is there anything you do now that's active, like physically active thing? Anything you do now?
I mean, we still have classes over Zoom. So I hop on every now and then to kind of like teach the little kids and stuff like that. I don't really train seriously anymore after I got injured. But yeah, I think honestly, it's been a very long time with this sport. I've been doing this since I was like 8. Um, how long has it been? Maybe 15 years.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 15 years this year with this
Dang.
sport. So,
It's crazy. Wow.
Do you still dance?
no. I wish. I really liked dancing, but I guess I stopped just because I didn't really find, I don't know. I didn't really find what I liked in it mainly. Like, I'm not really good at hip hop. I do more of like a cultural to traditional type of dancing. And I guess, I don't know, like, I mean, there's not really like a dance studio for that. So,
Not right now.
You found the group too, right?
It's
I
hard to
mean,
come by.
Yeah. Didn't you find that group too? You're the founder of the group that you created in high school.
yeah. So, our last run was my junior year in college. Like, that's when we truly disbanded. Like,
Oh.
yeah, started in high school up until then. I think that's a really long ride.
Yeah,
And
that
it's mostly
is.
because most of the older Iris members they went to the same college as me. So it was kind of cool to reunite and like dance and showcases still and stuff like that. So yeah, fun times.
Nice.
Yeah, I miss dancing, especially after like 7 shots of Patron. It's the only time I will dance confidently because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Oh my gosh. Let's bring it back to talking about your travels. So you mentioned that you and your family travel a lot. What are some takeaways that you've kind of learned from traveling to different places?
I think traveling with family is a little difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love my family to death, but you know, they always complain about food. They always complain about the temperature and the weather and stuff like that. And it's not something that you can control. So it's a little difficult sometimes to put up with it. Usually I just, you know, pop in my AirPods or earbuds and just block it out. But I think patience, especially when you're traveling with people, that's why, like, when I go to places with friends or with family, like, I think I'm very picky in a sense. I'm very picky with who I go with just because, you know, you can be great friends, but if you can't travel together, that's a whole different story.
Yep, say
You
that.
know, you got to bring finances into the whole picture. You got to bring each other's bad habits into the pictures and all that stuff. So if that's something you can deal with, then great. But if not, like, you have to be versatile if you want to go with them. Oh, and I learned to be more, I guess, organized. I'm very type A. You know, I have a list for everything just to make sure that everything should be covered. And so, I don't know, I like to plan all that stuff out with friends or with family. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah. And I like to know where I'm going to. Like, I'm like half spontaneous, but like half planner. Like, I'll have a guided itinerary, but we don't have to stick to it.
I am the complete opposite. I like to get lost.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
adventure.
No wonder you
Good.
said it's fun to get lost.
Yeah, no wonder.
Yeah, I've been to like Hong Kong, Singapore, like all the Southeast Asian countries, and I've always like just go and explore. Like there's like one direction to go to a spot, but after that it's just kind of like, you know.
Well, then
just-
once you get lost, how do you get back?
that's the beauty of it. It's like
You don't know.
that's the
No,
beauty of
yeah,
it. In essence, it's like the exploration aspect. And you know, I get to engage with the locals. I get to learn about their lives and their livelihood. I'll be able to connect with folks in terms of the transportation that are able to get me back where I need to go. So all those things, the way I learned to be able to like really connect with people in the different areas and countries and figure out how to just communicate, whether it's like communication challenges or language challenges, but still figure out how to just be a human being and just connect with people and then just learn in that sense. And so, I think that's how I've been. So sometimes, it's not a good thing.
I think being lost would be nice. Like the thing is, it's because like I'm a girl.
For sure, definitely.
It's like
different.
hard if you're a female going about a country you don't even know. You know, like the movie Taken pops up in my head, and I'm just like, oh shit, God, I can't. You know, but. Yeah, I see your aspect in that, but I kind of like to like pinpoint like places that I want to go to. Like I'm like, okay, I want to go here, here, and here, but like the matter of how I get there, what I do, like it's just like we'll go with the flow and like we'll get to it when we get to it.
For sure, I definitely want to own my male privilege and being able to do that. So definitely, I understand struggle of a woman not being able to do that. So
Wait, is this a different podcast episode? The beauty of being mislocated?
That's the title.
We had an episode of the beauty of being misunderstood, and so now it's just being lost.
The beauty of being lost in another country.
Go ahead.
I see the appeal though. I do see like how, I guess, dreamy it could be if you just kind of get lost within whichever country you decide to explore and experience and immerse yourself into the culture and stuff like that. But it's a bit dangerous for us.
Definitely. I think definitely I like the idea of having balance. You be able to have a plan, but at the same time be able to step outside of that plan and still be safe in essence. So definitely something I should do more and learn from you.
I mean, whatever works for you, man. Like if you get lost and you get home, like you're here now, it's fine. Like it works out.
Yeah.
You have a good time.
Lesson learned.
Like that.
Exactly. So how would you compare like the life in the US compared to life in, Japan, Thailand, Korea?
I think it's very different. Just because taking I guess how we live in the Silicon Valley, it's kind of like a one-track way, right? You grew up with kind of these social etiquettes, social norms, and you have kind of similar goals to most people around here. Everyone here is about all like the hustle and bustle, and everyone's out here grinding and working really hard on their own and stuff like that. And it's gotten to be kind of like this little bubble. And in a sense, like in other countries, they have their own bubbles as well. But maybe their end goal isn't to work for a big company, work for a tech company like most people here. Maybe their end goal is to, take over their family business, to be, to move to a different country, to be a teacher. So it's very different in terms of the way of life, especially because I'm just comparing it to like where we live right now. So I guess what we value is very different. And we have to take into consideration like, standards. For example, beauty standards. Like beauty standards everywhere are super different. Like what we like here in America is super different in South Korea and Japan. And I'm sure like there's a lot of videos on that by now. So yeah.
Cool. So, after graduating college and everything, when everything clears up, do you plan on like traveling some more before like you find like a settled job or wherever?
What's the next location?
I'd like to. Not really sure where the next location would be, to be honest. But before COVID, I did have plans. I was going to attend the academy again, Taekwondo Academy again, this year. We were going to go to Chosun and then go to Jeju Island this time around instead of Chosun and Seoul. I was going to go to nationals. I ref nationals last year at Minnesota, and this year was going to be in Texas, I think. So that kind of got put on hold. I I really want to go to Europe. Like I've only been in Asian countries. Would love to go to Europe. Maybe when I get married, we'll have a honeymoon extravaganza to all of like the European countries.
Ooh, is that coming anytime soon?
Freaking
Traveling?
Is that coming anytime soon in terms of marriage?
Marriage?
Yeah.
No.
You were saying if you get married?
Oh my God, I'm not ready for that.
Okay.
I don't even have a job.
Okay. But I feel you. I think I've also been in like all the Southeast Asian countries, and I also want to see the Europe because I haven't been on that side of the map. And so, yeah, definitely.
I want to go to Africa.
Yeah, I've been to Africa, like Mombasa, Kenya.
Ooh, South Africa is really pretty.
Yeah.
Pictures.
Yeah.
So for sure.
And kind of to wrap things up, any advice you want to give to any of the listeners and anything new coming up with your podcast?
Kind of like how I mentioned earlier, my podcast comes out only once a month, so I'm very sorry for, I guess, all the delays and waiting for that. But if you guys want to stick around, feel free. Always here to talk, always happy to talk. Any advice? I guess don't really. There's a lot of advice out there that
Don't even worry. We got like 3 more hours left of this.
There's just a lot of things that, people just have to keep in mind, especially in today's day and age. I think the main one, honestly, just has to be everyone's timelines are different. Like you can't really compare yourselves to others just because what they've got going for them is going to be completely different from yours. Yeah. So everyone's moving at a different pace in life, and you'll only see that really until like post high school, to be honest, because like everyone kind of goes off in their own direction. And so don't really compare your success to others just because you guys might not have the same goals. You guys might be in different milestones in your lives. So that's kind of just really important to, I guess, keep in the back of your mind, because that's something that I definitely struggled with.
That's beautiful.
And what other ways can we support as a fellow podcasters? How can we support your podcast?
How can you support my podcast? I've never really thought of that. So how can I support your podcast? You can do the same for that.
I guess we're doing it now in terms of...
There we go.
This is like,
all right, let me help
this
you
is
out.
like an extra
Y'all don't
level of
follow
shout out for
Kimmy
shout out.
and Moon Iridescent. I didn't think this through. I'm sorry.
Spell it. Spell the ad.
Yeah,
because I was gonna be like, I'm gonna like throw a sock at you or something, but everything's virtual. I don't even know where y'all
Throw a
live.
sock?
So, like,
like this. It's like
I'm
this.
talking about like our audience, right? So I'm just like,
Yo, make sure to check out Kimmy, Moon Iridescent. Yo, it hits different. That's what.
There we go.
Oh my God.
What's the ad?
oh,
What's the ad?
I got it, guys. I got it.
Okay,
If
what is
y'all
it?
don't follow Kimmy and Moon Iridescent, I'm gonna cry for a 3rd time in this podcast. Okay, don't make me do that.
Inside joke, Kimmy. It's because he cried twice.
He cries a lot.
Wait, I thought it was 3
God.
times.
Literally, my episode promo is me in tears.
Yeah.
Because
You're
of
probably
Simone.
going to get even more tears then.
He's very emotional. Yeah, definitely. We want to promote in terms of the work that you do, whether it's your blog, whether it's your podcast. And I think that's how we want to support, local folks in our community that are doing our work. And so, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And thank you for your presence. Love the audio. Forget about it. And thank you for sharing all your experiences and getting lost.
She's a Milpetian. She's a Milpetian.
A Milpetian.
A Milpetian.
Is that what it
and
is?
she's a Trojan.
Is this a Milpetian crew? Is that what it is?
Milpetian.
Okay.
Milpitas
okay.
High School. What's the ads, Kimmy? The
what?
What's your Instagram ad and your podcast ad? So the listeners
Oh,
know.
it's just Moon Iridescent.
At
All
Moon
right.
Iridescent.
So
for sure.
follow
Please
Moon
spell
Iridescent
Iridescent.
on
No.
Instagram.
All right, I just followed right now.
Ask Siri. Ask Google.
Ask Google. And we'll tag her on our Instagram post at PYB Podcast. And we are out.
Hey, let's go.
Thanks again, Kimmy, for coming.
For having me.
Let's go. Hey.